We juggle so much as homeschool moms, and I know that this time of year, it just turns right up. In case you don't already have a full-time job, you take on the part-time job of the holidays. So today I thought it would be a perfect day of this season to talk about our lists. I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. I'm going to talk about how we can prioritize our family connections despite our lists. Now, if you haven't met me, I'm Teresa Wiedrich. I'm the certified life coach and homeschool mom, graduated homeschool mom of 4 kids and homeschool mentor here on the Homeschool Life Coach channel on Instagram. And if we haven't met, I'd love to hear from you. Who do you homeschool? Would you share your thoughts or share a little bit about your family and where you're homeschooling below? So I would also love to hear your ideas throughout the conversation. Let me know how things practically work in your world. Don't be shy. Drop them in the comments below and I'll engage you just like I was having coffee or tea with you here. Probably tea. It's 1 where I am. So more than a cup of coffee after probably 11 is 1 cup of coffee too many for me. So let's talk lists. Do you have a few lists? I know that some parents are not as eager to use lists. I don't know how they do it. It's just not me. I've got lists for everything, and I always have. If it doesn't make its way onto a piece of paper or on my Trello board or a day timer or somewhere else, it no longer exists. I will forget. So I love lists, and I've used lists the entire time I homeschooled and continue to as I'm coaching. So lesson plans, maybe you also are including lists for that. I certainly did. They were usually created on Sundays. Laundry lists or lunch lists or travel packing lists. And of course, all the other things that you would put on the list that I haven't mentioned. Do you have a special list that I definitely didn't include? Probably like the Christmas wish list is something for this time of year, or your Thanksgiving grocery list. I'm hearing everyone have their Thanksgiving week. I didn't know that was a thing because I'm Canadian, not American. We love how y'all celebrate. We do it in a day. Turkey, stuffing, 1 afternoon, 1 evening, done. But I'm glad that you're able to celebrate and have so much fun. But it requires a big old list. Can I hear an amen? So here's the question. We have so many things to do. It doesn't feel like we ever come to the end of these lists. And when you're writing your to-do list, do you include time with, or, for things like this, like snuggling with the kids or reading with my kiddo who's wanting to do a different book than the rest of the kids, like a teenager, or maybe scheduling in a heart-to-heart with the kids, or a specific child that is going to stay up later, or even just, have fun with the family. Is it on your list? I know it sounds funny, but hear me out for a second. When we're intentional about our relationship choices or intentional about our relationships, they grow. And from personal experience, they grow up and they leave. And the to-do list that you have, all the to-do lists that I spoke to, except for possibly your homeschool lesson plan, you will still have those lists and they will continue on. And you will still have grocery lists, and you will still have chore lists, and you will have many other lists. Life is full of lists, but what is on the list that's really important is connection time on the list. So I'm curious if you would share in the comments below what your favorite way to sneak in a little connection time with your kids is for you. And in a minute, I'll share a few of those out loud. So let's talk about how we can make relationships more of a priority, because I know from experience it is saturated, as I say. The homeschool mom life, it's saturated. There's a lot going on, and it does feel like there is never a dull moment, and there isn't. Even in the most relaxed homeschools or unschools, we still find that there's a lot of intensity and energy, whether it's just from one kiddo or maybe it's us at times. Here's a few ideas, and I wanted to share a few here, but on the podcast episode released today, so my podcast is Homeschool Mama Self-Care, and the episode that dropped today was fostering Healthier Relationships, and you can find that on Apple or Spotify or all the podcast players. So I go into greater depth there. But I thought I'd share 4 connection possibilities with the kids. The first thing is to start your day with 5 minutes of eyeball to eyeball time. I call it eyeball to eyeball time because, as a mom, it takes nothing to go about your days and, follow the list or do the next thing that's demanding your attention, or the next child that's the loudest, or you fill in the blank, and not even realize that you haven't actually really had any connecting time with your kids. We grow to be such remarkable multitaskers, whether we practice it or not, that there's times, I'm sure you have had these, I've had these moments too, where a kiddo will say, "Hey mom, can I tell you something?" And then you're like, "Yep," as you're doing something else. And they say, "No, but mom, can I tell you something?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm listening." But your eyes aren't on them and they don't feel like they're with you or that you're with them. And at a certain age, they will actually say that to you. They will say, "And you're looking at your phone or you're chopping something. Can you just look at me for a minute?" That's a bid for connection. And though there are times where we can't honor it and something else has to take precedence, our goal is to make those bid for connection actually satisfied, because our goal is to connect. And above all the things we want to do in our homeschool mom lives, it is not to do more chores or to just check off one more thing on the list to make sure that we filled in that one page in our workbook every single day without fail if we haven't connected with the kids. So you could incorporate maybe that 5 minutes of eyeball to eyeball time by just intentionally saying hello in the morning or giving a hug to each of the kids. It sets a tone for your day. It sets a tone for connection. It also gives you a little intel, like I shared on the podcast. It tells you whether a child is available emotionally to connect with their siblings or with you or what's going on with them, because it will tell you what's going on for the rest of your day if they are not in a good space. Can I hear an amen again? The other intentional connection opportunity you can incorporate is transition hugs. So every time you switch activities, you don't have to be, type A in this energy. It doesn't have to happen every time. But when you incorporate, a hug after you do your math workbook, and then you move to snack time, or you just, grab someone or touch somebody on their shoulder and say, "Hey, let's go finish this thing next," or, high five 10 seconds before you go on to the next activity. There's just a point of brief connection. It's super simple. It's a habit that might be a significant shift for you, but that point of physical connection is meaningful. The third thing you can do is obviously one-on-one chats, but if you have more than one kiddo, that's kind of tricky to do that every single day with each child. So the goal is to schedule 10 minutes a day with 10 minutes a day with one child for focused attention time, or think one focused session or connection moment with a child every week, depending on how many kids you have. It's simple, but it's powerful. You could also create daily connection rituals like, bedtime snuggles. I'm sure you do. But I do know that there are certain moms that are like, I am so spent by the end of the day that my partner puts the kids down, or I send the kids to bed with an audiobook or something. So I know that everyone doesn't have the same level of bandwidth for that, but creating, connection rituals. Maybe it's in the morning in your circle time, and you're saying with each other, tell me something that you're really grateful for today, which is, fitting for this week. Incorporating gratitude. It's a small way to make relationships and the people that you're in relationship with feel seen and heard. And so when they say, what I'm thankful for is my cat. I can sit on my bed and read books and hang out with my cat. And you can honor them, and you can sit with that moment and say, it's so sweet. I don't know that she's always going to want to sit on her bed and read her books with her cat, but I'll honor the moment that right now she's grateful for her cat and acknowledge it It's a way to connect. I'm curious what you think of some of these connection opportunities, if you could make them doable in your real homeschool life. So if you'd like to share, I'd be happy to take a look at some of the things that you have to say there. Yeah, cooking definitely is something that I love doing with other homeschool parents, or with homeschool kids, I should say. Sometimes cooking with the kids was actually really tricky because it felt too overwhelming. There was just too much going on, and I was really like, no, we have to cut the carrots in a certain way. Do you identify? Or, okay, no, don't use that knife. Oh, no, don't run with the knife. Sometimes it was stressful cooking with the kids, but if you could separate them and actually have one kiddo cook with you each evening, that was kind of fun. That built a lot of connection time there. So that's a beautiful idea. Here's another one. I don't often speak about this. I really should share this really fun activity that we did. We would celebrate a 100-day party. So at the beginning of our very first day of our formal homeschool routine, I would begin to X off the days from 1 to 100. And then when we got on to the 100th day, we would have a 100-day party, and we would do a variety of things to celebrate. I would always include some sort of cheesy jokes, which I still have and still use on occasion. Nobody thinks they're funny. I thought they were hilarious. But anyways, cheesy jokes, great jokes, just incorporating a little bit more warm energy and making things fun is always a boon in our homeschools. Which, to be fair, I'll tell you straight, it took me years to figure out how to have fun in my homeschool because I was pretty serious in how I was doing things. So if you got more ideas, I'd love to hear. I love that idea. Okay, so before you end the day, write down one way you're going to prioritize connection over the course of maybe the next 24 hours or the next day. It can be something super small, as I just shared, or it can be like just incorporating a morning hug or a 5-minute chat with your teenager by the end of the day. The key is to continue to build intention toward your relationships, because at the end of your homeschool days, you will not care about how much was done. You will not say to yourself, there is just one more book we need to do. There is just one more floor I need to clean. There is just one more toilet I need to scrub. You're going to say, I wish I had spent more time connecting with the kids. So if this chat sparks some ideas, I'd love to hear from you. And if you would consider sharing it with another homeschool mom who you think would benefit too, I would truly appreciate that. I would be grateful. And before I go, remember that relationships are not extra in our homeschool mom lives. They are the reason we're doing this thing. They are the foundation to everything that we're doing. So when we nurture them and ourselves, but when we nurture them, we are going to feel great at the end of our homeschool days. And it turns out we'll feel more present, and we're going to enjoy our lives more, but we're also going to feel more at ease when things aren't completed on the other lists. So thanks for hanging out with me today in the Homeschool Mom Chat. If you have a suggestion for the Homeschool Mom Chat, if you'd like me to address a certain particular scenario that you'd like me to address next Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a beautiful week. And for all my American homeschool mom friends, I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you soon.